So from a universal or really cosmic universalist perspective, there's this relationship between the father and the son, right? So the mother and daughter have a temporal connection to the lunar cycles, to the menstrual cycles, to the emotionality, Plutchik's wheel, to what it is to exist in an organic sense on the lesser note of phi, or the Fibonacci, or the golden mean, at a ratio of 61.8%. This 1.618, you just simply move that decimal point over, and you begin to see that from a ontological, Luciferian, or natural perspective, females are at that gradient as far as brain size, as far as strength, mean strength, as far as everything you can see except for the amygdala and certain, again, ontological, Luciferian, naturalistic, even Wiccan type perspectives. So in essence, for a woman to really rise up to the higher order, and it is an order, there is a militia, and there is a tier system to this, an army, if you will, not to put women down in a misogynistic way. I mean, this could be depicted as the Amazonian, even, Prometheus carrying the torch as a completely sexualized, yet non-sexual, complex, deep being of total understanding to the anthology of total expression. If you were to amalgamate human beings into this Gnostic perspective of a one mind or a singular soul, right? Coptic Gnostic perspective, and instead of like staying engrossed in the confines, the pericosum of the self or the falsified self, to see that even when you think you are in a room alone, in a dark room alone, the light of reason is the fact that your thoughts are extending far beyond, I mean, it's at the speed of thought, are extending far beyond known corporeal, carnal physicality, transcending the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, and instantly, from a photon pairing perspective, taking the broad gap and saying this doesn't exist, right? So when we get into the witch, we have to look at the druid, and at first, from a very immature perspective, you would see this as antithetical, right? You would almost see it as chiral, like the man and woman, they don't fit. But the truth is that they are components of one another. I mean, even down to the perspective of a woman has a clitoris, a man has nipples. You turn the dial through steroidogenesis, which we've seen, inject a little lupron here or there, inject a little bit of testosterone, enanthate or cypionate or suspension, what have you, and suddenly this individual is breaking off like an anthrobot, like a xenobot, and beginning to display uncharacteristic behaviors that put them within a certain phenotype or form. And so by standing back aghast and saying, what are you, right? Oh, you're this, and then starting to name call, well, that goes back into this pool of this unified perspective where you are just killing yourself off. In other words, how is it going to serve the entirety of the totality, the singular soul, from kind of an esoteric Buddhist perspective, really? You can almost say that it gets into Jainism, theism, deism, right? It gets into all these other areas where it's like you have to see the commonality that no religion is disparate. There is no compartmentalization. When you stand back and you see it from a macro view, kind of like the Mendelbrot set, you go, oh, wow, and I exist down here. And it's like, do you want to exist down there? Do you want to exist as you pan out in a very minimalistic way? Or are you going to take on this Promethean torch of the higher mind? And right before you now, you have the choice. This is the new Atlantis. Get with it.